Hello, my name is Simran and I'm presenting this presentation on behalf of our group of 3 members, including me and my colleagues, Yilan Pang and Nazal May. The title for our topic of the day is Thinking Critically About Ads. We have used reciprocal teaching when using multimodal texts as an effective strategy for Year 5 students to build multiliteracies and critical visual literacy. We believe it allows students to notice how words and images work together, gain meta-language for analysis, and question the purposes and representation in everyday media. Today, we will defend this claim with examples from our comic strips we created and the teaching strategies used in presenting these in a classroom setting. Why does the strategy matter or is important to teach critical literacy? As Sarah Finney explains, today's texts are multimodal ensembles, including images, layout, and language combined to make meaning. The New London Group emphasizes multiliteracies. Literacy practices now span multimodal and cultural contexts. But decoding is not enough. Critical visual literacy asks who is presented, who is excluded, what purposes are served. This is why we argue for a structured classroom strategy, that is, reciprocal teaching, that scaffolds critical dialogue and analysis. Our group is claiming that reciprocal teaching equips students with meta-language for visual techniques. It makes design choices visible and open to critique. It structures questioning and evidence-based reasoning. It transfers to digital platforms addressing ICT multiliteracies. Each of these reasons will be supported with comic strips as examples. Multimodal text. In our first comic, two friends encounter a bright candy shop poster on a phone. The ad uses salience, as in bright colors, framing, as in phone zoom, and social endorsement, that is, characters' excitement. We believe these choices persuade viewers that sugar is fun. Reciprocal teaching helps students go beyond from saying it's colorful to asking who benefits, who is missing, what assumptions are made about children's health. The reasons for choosing these strips are many. For example, visual metalanguage. Students need words to explain how meaning is made. Kress and Van Leeuwen outline key terms like salience, framing, gaze, composition, vectors. Reciprocal teaching clarify and summarize roles, encourages students to rehearse this language. The red salience draws attention to the speech. The framing isolates the product as central. This develops critical visual literacy by shifting analysis from impression to explanation. Another reason is making design visible. For example, in comic strip 2, the health poster, James and Elicit see a clinical poster. Unlike the candy ad, it should persuade through factual modes, charts and numbers, green to red gradient signaling risk, arrows pointing to unhealthy foods. Reciprocal teaching invites students to anticipate a warning stance. Clarify directs them to interpret numbers, arrows, and gradient. Summarize condenses the message. Sugar is framed as harmful. This makes design choices visible, reminding students that even scientific texts are constructed to persuade. In addition, the structure critique, like in Comic Strip 3, the questioning poster, uses interrogatives. Look closely. Must we choose? The minimalist design highlights this language. Here, reciprocal teaching's question role is crucial. Students can ask who is asking this question, whose interests are being promoted, what assumptions are embedded in the message. This builds metacognitive awareness. Students recognize texts as persuasive constructs, not neutral facts. They critique not only what is said, but how and why it is framed. Another emphasis is the evidence and assessment. In comic strip 4, the food choice poster seems simple: choose natural over processed. But it uses imperative voice to position readers. Composition and information value. Natural food placed in privileged spaces. A binary that may mask cultural and social realities. Reciprocal teaching structures responses such as clarify. The imperative tells us what to do. Question: whose definition of natural counts? Summarize. The layout privileges natural food as ideal. Teachers can assess whether students' claims are evidence-based and grounded in multimodal features. Another reason is transfer to ICT. RT is portable. Once students can predict, clarify, question, and summarize comic strips and posters, they can apply the same routine to short videos, social posts, influencer ads, and news snippets. This fulfills the ICT strand of multiliteracies, making meaning across platforms with adaptable strategies. It also addresses real risks like mis or disinformation, algorithmic persuasion. Our claim is ethos rests on this curricular relevance. Its heroes is the urgency of today's media ecology. The comic strip also shows what strong evidence sounds like in year 5. Predict. Given the clinic setting, this will warn us about sugar. Clarify. The red zone on the chart plus downward arrows constructs danger. Question: why is the child's voice absent in these posters? Whose authority is foregrounded? Summarize across ads, design choices, color salience, imperative verbs, and layout. Position readers towards specific actions. Teachers should assess for use of visual metalanguage, evidence-based reasoning, critical questioning, and clear summaries that synthesize text features. Conclude: reciprocal teaching, adapted for multimodal ensembles, is effective for Year 5 critical literacy and multiliteracies. It provides meta-language for multimodal analysis, makes design choices visible, structures critical questioning and evidence use, transfers across digital contexts. As Serafini, the New London Group, Kress and Van Leeuwen, Pelinkar and Brown, Walsh and Mills argue multiliteracies and critical visual literacy are urgent educational goals. Reciprocal teaching offers teachers a broad, reusable, and accessible approach. Thank you.